Absolutely. Let's make it longer, more engaging, and packed with relatable examples, humor, and curiosity hooks, so it feels like a full YouTube video that can easily run 8 to 10 minutes. I'll expand the ideas, add more stories, and sprinkle in natural conversational flair. Here's the upgraded script. Hook. You know that moment when someone says, "You just need closure," and suddenly you imagine a magical conversation where everything finally makes sense? Yeah. Spoiler alert, closure doesn't actually work that way. It's kind of like trying to fix a broken phone by hitting it. Sometimes it feels satisfying. But the problem? Still there. Hey everyone. Today we're diving deep into why closure never really works. And trust me, this one's for anyone who's ever waited for a text back, a final conversation, or even a sign from the universe that says, "It's okay, all is explained." Because here's the truth. Life doesn't hand out neat endings. And the sooner we accept that, the faster we stop torturing ourselves waiting for someone else to fix our feelings. Why we crave closure. So why do we chase closure so much? Humans are basically wired to love stories. Seriously, our brains are like little movie critics. We want beginnings, middles, and perfect, satisfying endings. A book without an ending? Frustrating. A show that ends on a cliffhanger? Torture. So when life gives us messy, incomplete situations, our brains scream, "Give me closure. I need a tidy ending." Closure feels like control. It's the idea that if we just understand the why behind someone's actions, our brains can stop overthinking. Why did they ghost me? Why did my friends suddenly stop talking? Why did I get fired from that job I loved? We think closure is like hitting the ultimate reset button. But here's the kicker. Real life doesn't hand out reset buttons. The illusion of closure. Closure is mostly a myth. And here's why. Life is messy. People don't always explain themselves. Feelings don't always make sense. And sometimes you just don't get that long-awaited conversation. Even if you do, it rarely gives you what you want. Imagine finally confronting your ex after months of heartache. You're imagining a cinematic moment where you both cry, hug, and suddenly the pain disappears. Reality? They give you a vague, confusing answer, maybe even something that makes you angrier. That's because closure is not about them, it's about you. And our brains are way more complicated than we like to admit. Real life examples. Let's get real for a second. Example 1. Friendship drama. You have a fight with a close friend. Days go by, you imagine a perfect conversation where they say, "You're right. I messed up. I'm sorry." You finally meet. They say something half-baked. Maybe they shrug. Maybe they make a joke to lighten the mood. And suddenly, your feelings, still messy, still unsettled. That's because closure doesn't erase emotions. It just gives you a story you hope for, which rarely happens. Example 2, romantic heartbreak. You break up and tell yourself, "If we just talk one last time, I'll feel better." So you meet. You get some explanation, but it's vague, confusing, or even hurtful. You nod politely, walk away, and think, "Well, that didn't help at all." And you're right, because closure doesn't magically heal pain. It just lets you check a box in your mind. But the heart? That's on its own schedule. Example 3, career disappointments. You get passed over for promotion. You think, "If my boss just explains why, I'll understand and move on." But when you get the explanation, it's corporate jargon, or worse, non-answer answers. You nod, smile, walk away, and still feel frustrated. That's because closure was never in someone else's hands. It's in yours. Why we keep chasing it. So why do we keep looking for closure if it doesn't work? Simple. Hope. Hope is powerful. And so is our brain's need for certainty. Humans don't like ambiguity. We want answers. We want explanations. We want the universe, or the person who hurt us, to sign a receipt saying, "This is why it happened." But here's the kicker. Real healing doesn't come from understanding someone else's actions. It comes from understanding your own feelings and learning to live with uncertainty. What actually works? If closure doesn't work, what does? Acceptance. Accept that life is messy, people are complicated, and sometimes you won't get answers. Your brain might scream for them, but acceptance is the antidote. Self-reflection. Focus on yourself. Ask, what did I learn? What do I need to heal? Understanding your own emotions is way more powerful than waiting for someone else's explanations. Time. Yes, it's cliché, but it's true. Time doesn't erase memories, but it makes them less sharp, less painful. Your emotions don't disappear overnight, but they fade. Moving forward. Stop rehearsing conversations in your head. Stop imagining what someone else might say. Instead, invest energy in yourself, hobbies, friendships, small joys. Funny enough, life feels lighter when you stop chasing closure. Humorous twist. Think about it. Chasing closure is kind of like chasing Wi-Fi in a coffee shop. You run around, hope it connects, and sometimes you finally get it, only to realize it's slow, buggy, and makes you want to throw your laptop across the room. Yeah, closure's like that. Closing thought. So next time someone tells you you just need closure, smile, nod, and then do your own thing. Don't wait for someone else to fix your feelings. Life rarely gives neat endings, but it does give you a chance to grow, laugh at yourself, and keep moving forward. Closure is a nice idea, but living your life fully, embracing the messy parts, and finding peace inside yourself, that's the real magic. Because here's a secret nobody tells you. The story doesn't need a perfect ending. You get to write the next chapter. And the best part? You're the main character. So stop waiting. Start living. And maybe keep a good GIF collection. Because sometimes humor is the only closure you really need. Hook. You know that moment when someone tells you, you just need closure, and suddenly you imagine some magical conversation that will fix all your problems? Yeah. Spoiler alert, it rarely works that way. In fact, closure is kind of like trying to put a Band-Aid on a broken leg. It might make you feel better for a second. But the problem? Still there. Hi everyone. Today, we're diving into why closure, that thing we all chase after a breakup, a fight with a friend, or even a messy life decision, doesn't actually fix anything. And trust me, I'm talking from experience. Yes, even from that time I waited for my crush to explain themselves for 3 months and got nothing. Why we chase closure. First, let's talk about why we even want closure. Humans love stories. Seriously, we're wired for endings. A movie without an ending? Frustrating. A book that just stops mid-chapter? Insane. So when life gives us messy situations, our brains go, hey, let's get closure so this story makes sense. Closure feels like control. Like finally understanding why someone ghosted you, or why your coworker sabotaged your project. We want answers. We want that satisfying, aha, moment where everything clicks. But here's the catch. The illusion of closure. Closure is mostly a myth. And here's why. Life doesn't always give neat answers. People don't always explain themselves. Feelings don't always make sense. And sometimes you just don't get the text back. And if you do get that conversation, it often doesn't change how you feel. Imagine this. You finally get a long-awaited talk with your ex. You're thinking, yes, this is it. My soul will finally be at peace. But instead, they say something confusing, vague, or honestly, just rude. And suddenly, you're back at square one, wondering why you even bothered. That's because closure isn't about them. It's about you, and your brain is trickier than a magician with 3 hands. Real-life example. Think about this. You argue with a friend. You spend days thinking about what you should say, imagining the perfect conversation that will make everything right. You finally talk, and guess what? The conversation goes, okay, but you still feel a little hurt, a little unsettled, a little That's normal. Your brain doesn't magically delete the emotions just because you talked. It just files it under complicated feelings. Or another example, you break up with someone. You tell yourself, I'll only feel better after we talk one last time. So you meet. You get some vague explanation. You nod politely, say goodbye, and walk away. And the truth is, your heart still hurts. That's because closure is not a pill you swallow. It's not a reset button. What actually works? So if closure doesn't work, what does? The real healing comes from acceptance and understanding your own feelings. It's about saying, I may never get the perfect explanation, and that's okay. It's about letting go of the idea that someone else holds a key to your peace. Funny thing is, once you stop chasing closure, life actually gets a little lighter. You don't wait for the perfect conversation. You don't replay old messages or imagine excuses for someone else's behavior. You just live. And believe me, that's way more satisfying than any awkward, tension-filled talk you're dreaming about. Closing thought. So next time someone tells you, you just need closure, smile and nod. But remember, closure is nice in theory, but rarely in real life. What actually works is letting go, understanding your own emotions, and giving yourself permission to move forward, even if the story never gets a neat ending. Because life doesn't always give closure, but it does give you a chance to grow, to laugh at yourself a little, and to keep moving. And honestly, that's way more powerful than any conversation you're hoping for. So stop waiting for someone to explain themselves. Start explaining things to yourself. Your future self will thank you, and probably send you a funny GIF too.